I spent too many years trying to get people to love me for who I'm not. This energy gap between I am and this is what I want people to think I am is a very difficult journey and experience for people to go through. Welcome to Entrepreneurs the Playbook. I'm David Meltzer, and it's time to cruise. That's right, with Chris Cruz, founder and chief visionary officer of Creative Resource Consulting Corp. And we're going to talk about power, the power of 3RE. This man is impacting and improving others on my mission of empowering others to empower others to be happy. Welcome to the Playbook, Chris Cruz.
There's a lot of empowering over there. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you for having me here on the playbook. I really do appreciate that as well. And it was nice being out in California with you guys and having an opportunity to be on the show. And I learned a lot. So I've had a lot of time to think between, here and there. So I'm here. I'm kind of all yours. I want to let you lead the ship. So you tell me what to do. You're the big boy.
Let's start with that side of production, right? You're well versed as we executive produce the great show Go Fund Yourself, which is the #1 show on Cheddar. You've been producing world-class events on and off the air for over 3 decades with huge networks like NBC, MTV, iHeart, etc., with some of the biggest stages in the world, with the biggest people in the world. For you as a creator today, not just as a broadcaster and producer, how important are bigger stages and bigger people?
I mean, there's right, it's 2 parts to answer that question. I mean, because I've spent most of my life in the entertainment world. I 15 years in Miami with iHeartRadio on the radio, and um, part of where the Power of Three came about was as you get older, you want to sometimes reconfigure, and reevaluate things in your life. And I've done some really cool things, but out in my world, it was what's next. And then the question was, okay, well, how do I get there? I love live. So when it comes to live events and stage, it's not because of an ego thing. It's something I've done ever since I was a kid. So whenever I'm in a live environment, or even at the studio at Go Fund Yourself, I enjoy it. So then the question several years ago was, how can I continue doing that and have more of a purpose and more of a cause? And that's where I started to stumble onto speakers, coaches, and then as I dug more into all many names that you would know that I won't say, um, I was kind of left a little empty, and I was like, well, okay, I don't really know what you told me the last 45 minutes or an hour, but how does that help me? So then I started to question myself, like, okay, well, I like this, and I would love to be able to speak with purpose. Um, how do I do it, and what do I do differently? And then, the question of resetting was, I got to start over. Like, how do you, when you're in your 40s, I'll say that, or you're older, whatever, even your 30s, like, and you've done something for a period of time, do you have to start over? And the question was like, how and what does that look like? And that's where reset came to life, and then it evolved into Power of Three, and then kind of where it's at now. So, and I'm still growing through it, and I say that every day is a reset. Um, if you choose to make something different happen in your present day, which is the reality.
And the power of the 3 Re's, the power of the 3 Re's. I work within my own power of reminding, remembering, and recollecting the source. You reset, rethink, and restart each and every day. As we face these struggles that are given to us through the human body, because there's no struggle or pain if you didn't have a body. You talk about these principles within the context of mental toughness. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Inherent in mental toughness is persistence and resilience. But overall, these 3 core principles of resetting, rethinking, and restarting have to deal with your philosophy of mental toughness. Talk me through that daily behavior of resetting each and every day, how we intentionally rethink the day, and then actually take action through restarting.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The good thing about the power of three is that, we can reset every single day, just like the sun rises and it sets at night. It's a reset in the day. It's making a conscious decision, being resilient. But one of the things that in the power of three and what I've learned, through neuroscience and the things that I've researched over time, is it's repetition. Just like sports, so just like an athlete, whether you're a golfer, you're a ball player, the only way they're going to get great at what they do is by repetitive habit. Most of us, we never really truly accomplish where we want to go because we haven't put in that mental toughness and then created that repetition that not only works in our physiology, but also works in our mental state. If you look at the science, it does show that you have to consistently do things every day, over and over, until it gets right. And the problem is, a lot of us do things in that same manner, but we do things that are not good for us. It's just like, let's say, eating poorly. Well, if you're always eating out and you're stopping at Chipotle or going to Dunkin' Donuts and getting, whatever the case is, and you're doing that pretty much every day, well, it's never going to change. Now your brain, your body knows, like, okay, yeah, we do Dunkin' Donuts every day. We do a coffee and a cigarette every morning. This is what we do. So then it's how do you, now you got to break that cycle and then basically reverse that repetition into preferably a positive. I was on a good streak for a long time, getting up at about 5:15 in the morning and trying to get to the gym by 5:45. And then for a little bit I was off. And I said, hey, I got to get back to that. So I started, and the first couple of days, you have to make that mental tough choice that the alarm goes off and you get up. And a lot of good speakers talk about similarities. Just get up immediately, get your feet on the floor, and you get going. Because those few moments when you're thinking about, like, you know what, let me just stay here a little bit longer, or like if you live in the north, like I used to live in New York, and it's cold outside, and you're under your blankets, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, you're like, 5 more minutes. How many times has 5 minutes turned into like another 30 or 50 minutes, and then you wake up and you're like, oh man, I'm late. I literally try to give myself a good hour every morning for me. I have 4 kids, my wife, and by the time 7 a.m. rolls around, if I haven't gotten up, stretched, gone to the gym, prayed, um, I need that time, because then it's game on. As soon as kids got to go to school, life starts, phone calls come in. So essentially, that's like a daily reset for me, is just staying on that repetition and staying on a good habit. I think when people say habit, they think, I think people just think bad habit off the bat, but we can create good habits. So reset, rethink, and restart is like a 1, 2, 3, ready, set, go. So that's kind
Yeah.
of.
And I think of things in the realm of behaviors, because it's behaviors that form habits. And you're so good at empowering people with appropriate behaviors. But you also have had a personal experience that many successful uh, people in your position have had, which is understanding recovery. And whether it be the 12 steps or some other system that has inherently within it reset, rethink, and restarting, you have your own recovery mechanism, Recovery Remix 3D, which is a huge, of huge importance to our community, because so many people are in a desperate need to recover. And there's so many different things that create dis-ease to recover from. How has your personal experience in recovery impacted your ability to empower others, especially with your own recovery platform called Recovery Remix 3D?
Yeah, so my recovery was from substance abuse. Unfortunately, if you look at the stats and the data, there's millions and millions of people that are dealing with it on a daily basis. I'm strongly now with understanding more of the mental health and wellness part, because I believe that that is something that ignites substance abuse. And I feel like I've become relatable, but then I've also been able to use the power of three and the system to give me solid steps. I don't want to downplay other methods out there, things that have been around historically for 100 plus years. They don't match well. That's like you going to make a phone call and you pick out the rotary dial and the long string and you're like, all right, I'm gonna make a phone call. It's like, no, listen, we got a cell phone, use that. Um, when I started to really come out of recovery and understand that, and just it's life, and I never judge. And once you've gone through something like that, you should never judge. It's like somebody just being sick with cancer or something else. I mean, it's in the same a problem. Um, but then I started figuring out how can I create a better system that is more functional and works and has better results. I think that the system right now is broken, and we just need more tangible information and data. And there's a lot more information and data out there that relates to the brain and why people have certain either substance abuse or addictions. I mean, addictions could be gambling, it could be a lot of different things. But it works with the mechanisms in the brain and the dopamines and this, that, and whatever. And so it's like, how do you reframe those things and do it in a timely manner that you don't get swallowed up? Because unfortunately, people get swallowed up with it and they lose their careers, they lose their lives. And a lot of times they can't get the proper help.
Yeah, and the mindset, heart set, and handset of recovery. I know we talked about the power of three. I called it 3RE just to indicate to other people how unique that branding with Remix 3D as well. And I'm known to be the rhyming master of mental of thought leadership of threes. I get teased about it all the time. Everything comes in threes. I want to finish up with faith. Both of us are faith-based leaders and mentors, coaches, and teachers. How important is faith in the power of three? Obviously, in the recovery remix 3D, it has to be. Most people in recovery understand faith and wisdom shorten the distance of disease or resistance that exists. But for you, how important is faith in the core principles and your teachings?
Well, I guess I learned a lot from being on the show with you guys recently. I needed to stick to my guns with regards to making sure that the power of three and what I'm doing is going to be a faith-based model, and it won't deter from that. And I just feel like if that's not your thing, then go with what is. But you can't dilute faith, right? A lot of people will believe in God, whether it's Judaism or Catholicism or Muslim, but then it breaks up there, and then who says this and who's that and what's what. But we all have general faith, but then having more of a spiritual faith and something that you can lean on that's bigger than you is very important. Exactly. For example, with recovery, sometimes the world around you, even your closest family members, they don't even understand sometimes what it is. And that's why you get a sponsor or get somebody who can help you or mentor. But having the faith component tied into it is very important. And I tie in the neuroscience part as well, because it's our biology, it's our brain. So we have the spirit, mind, and body. We need to kind of look at how we live our lives needs to be reflected by those things as well. When somebody tells me that they're an atheist, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think the fish just popped out of nowhere and the sky does what it does and it rains? But I'm going to stick like I said, after the show, I'm going to stick to my guns with the faith-based part.
Good. Yeah, I think it's important. Like I support people that are atheists. I just don't get it either. When you have an option to have something bigger than you that protects, promotes, loves, and perfects you. And so, if you don't think in those terms of something bigger than you that unites us all, I just think that you're leading yourself without any evidence or evidence contrary to living at dis-ease, disconnected and separate from, inferior and superior of, with many needs that just don't have to be fulfilled in this human experience. And so people ask me all the time, about my faith, because I was not, or would I ever think that I would be a faith-based leader. And I'm a strong faith-based leader. And I think you got that message from me at the show, is that look, you don't have to be for me. I would rather people not like me for who I am than love me for who I'm not. Because I spent too many years trying to get people to love me for who I'm not. This world of social media, this energy gap between I am and this is what I want people to think I am is a very difficult journey and experience for people to go through. And Chris Cruz is cruising, helping so many people in alignment with my mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy. Founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Creative Resource Consulting Corp. The Power of Three, 3RE, and of course his recovery remix, 3D. He has the experience, he has the mindset to help others. He's a father, and he is also a faith-based leader, mission-driven platform combining spirituality and creativity. Join him, reach out to him at Chris Cruz Live or at Power of 3RE. That's the Power of Three. Chris Cruz, thanks for joining me. This is David Meltzer,
Thank you, David.
Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.